Long ago, there was a young shepherd named David. He lived in the land of Judah. David was brave and strong. He was also a good musician. He played the harp beautifully. One day, he fought a giant named Goliath. David won with a single stone. This made him famous among his people. His story is a lesson in courage. Many people looked up to him. David became a great leader. The people of Israel chose him as their king. Before David, the tribes of Israel were often separate. They sometimes fought each other. King David united all these tribes. He made them into one strong nation. This was a very important time. It was the start of a powerful kingdom. He was a king for all the people. His leadership brought peace for a time. David needed a capital city for his new kingdom. He chose a special city called Jerusalem. Jerusalem was on a hill. It was a good place to defend. David conquered it and made it his own. It became known as the City of David. This city became central to Jewish life. It was the heart of the kingdom. People traveled there for important events. Jerusalem became a symbol of unity. King David was not just a warrior and a king. He was also a poet and a spiritual man. He wrote many beautiful songs and prayers. These are called the Psalms. They speak of faith, hope, and struggle. Jewish people still read and sing these psalms today. They are a very important part of Jewish worship. David is remembered as a great king in Jewish history. He laid the foundation for much that followed. His legacy is very strong. After King David died, his son Solomon became king. Solomon was known for his great wisdom. People came from far away to hear his judgments. He asked for wisdom to rule well. This wish was granted along with riches. Solomon's reign was a time of peace and wealth. The kingdom grew strong and respected. He built many important buildings. His wisdom was famous across lands. Many stories are told about his clever decisions. The most important thing King Solomon built was the temple. This was the first temple in Jerusalem. It was a magnificent building. It was made with fine wood and gold. David had dreamed of building it, but Solomon was the one to complete it. The temple became the center of religious life. It was the place where people felt closest to the divine. Priests performed services there every day. It was a symbol of divine presence. Solomon's kingdom was large and powerful. He made treaties with other kings. He built a strong army and a navy. Trade routes brought wealth to the land. Cities grew and people lived well. However, building projects cost a lot of money. People also had to work very hard for the king. Some people started to feel unhappy. This created some problems later on. The great expenses put a strain on the people. Despite the later problems, Solomon's time was golden. The temple stood as a great achievement. It focused the spiritual life of the nation. Pilgrims came from all over to worship there. The stories of Solomon's wisdom are still told. He wrote parts of the Bible, like Proverbs. His reign marked a high point for the kingdom. But after Solomon died, things changed. The unity David built began to crack. The kingdom faced new challenges. After King Solomon's death, the kingdom split. It divided into two parts. The northern part was called Israel. The southern part was called Judah. Jerusalem remained the capital of Judah. The descendants of David continued to rule Judah. This was a difficult time for the people. The once united nation was now separated. Judah was smaller than Israel but held the temple. This gave Judah great importance. The kingdom of Judah faced many dangers. Larger empires around them wanted to conquer new lands. Judah had to fight to stay independent. Some kings of Judah were good and followed God's laws. They tried to keep the people faithful. Other kings were not so good. They allowed worship of other gods. This led to many problems for the kingdom. Prophets spoke out against these bad practices. They warned the people to return to God. Prophets were important figures in Judah. Men like Isaiah and Jeremiah spoke God's messages. They called for justice and righteousness. They warned the kings and the people about their actions. They said that if people did not change, disaster would come. Their words were often unpopular, but they bravely continued to speak truth. Their writings are a vital part of the Hebrew Bible. They shaped Jewish thought and ethics. Their messages still resonate today. The northern kingdom of Israel was eventually conquered. The Assyrian Empire destroyed it. The people of Israel were taken away. This was a great tragedy. The kingdom of Judah survived for longer. It stood alone for more than 100 years. But it too faced threats from powerful empires. The faith of the people was tested. They tried to hold on to their traditions and their land. The memory of David and Solomon remained strong. Eventually, the mighty Babylonian Empire grew strong. King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon attacked Judah. He conquered Jerusalem. This was a terrible time for the Jewish people. In 586 BCE, the Babylonians destroyed Solomon's temple. The beautiful temple was burned to the ground. This was a devastating loss. The city of Jerusalem was also ruined. It was a moment of deep sorrow. The heart of their nation was broken. Many people from Judah were taken away. They were forced to leave their homes. They were marched to Babylon as captives. This is known as the Babylonian exile. Life in Babylon was very different. They were far from their land and their temple. They missed Jerusalem deeply. They worried about their future. How could they keep their faith alive? This was a great challenge for them. In Babylon, the Jewish people did not forget Judah. They held on to their traditions and their laws. They gathered to pray and study the Torah. Prophets like Ezekiel gave them hope. He told them that God had not forgotten them. He promised that one day they would return. They wrote down many of their sacred texts. This helped to preserve their heritage. They found ways to be a community. Their identity remained strong. The exile in Babylon lasted for many years. About 70 years passed. During this time, they learned to live as a people without a land. They focused on their shared beliefs and practices. The synagogue began to develop as a place of meeting. It was a place for prayer and study. This period shaped Judaism in important ways. It taught them resilience and determination. The dream of returning to Jerusalem never died. They longed for their homeland. Section 5. Return to Zion, building anew. After many years, the Babylonian Empire fell. A new power, the Persian Empire, rose. The Persian king was named Cyrus the Great. Cyrus had a different policy towards captive peoples. In 538 BCE, he made a famous declaration. He said that the Jewish people could return to Judah. They could go back to Jerusalem. He even encouraged them to rebuild their temple. This was amazing news for the exiles. Their long wait was finally over. Not all Jewish people returned immediately. Some had built lives in Babylon, but many were eager to go back. Led by figures like Zerubbabel, groups set out for Judah. The journey was long and hard. When they arrived, Jerusalem was still in ruins. The land was poor and neglected. They faced many difficulties, but they were determined to rebuild. Their faith gave them strength. The first task was to rebuild the temple. This was very important for their religious life. They started work on the second temple. There were many challenges. Neighboring peoples tried to stop them. They did not have many resources, but prophets like Haggai and Zechariah encouraged them. They urged the people to finish the work. After many years, the second temple was completed. It was simpler than Solomon's temple, but it was theirs. Later, other leaders came from Persia to help. Ezra the scribe was one of them. He helped teach the people the Torah, God's laws. He wanted them to live according to their traditions. Nehemiah was another important leader. He was concerned about the walls of Jerusalem. The city needed strong walls for protection. Nehemiah organized the rebuilding of the walls. Together, Ezra and Nehemiah helped restore Jewish life in Judah. They helped the community grow strong again. Section 6. The Maccabees, a fight for freedom. Generations passed in Judah under Persian rule. Then new conquerors came. Alexander the Great and his Greek armies swept through. This brought Greek culture, called Hellenism, to the region. Many people adopted Greek ways. This included language, customs, and ideas. Some Jewish people embraced Hellenism. Others worried it would weaken their traditions. This created tension within the community. The influence of Greek culture was very strong. Later, Judah was ruled by a Greek king named Antiochus IV. He was from the Seleucid Empire. Antiochus wanted everyone in his kingdom to follow Greek ways. He tried to force Jewish people to give up their religion. He banned Jewish practices like Sabbath observance. He put a statue of a Greek god in the temple. This was a terrible insult to Jewish faith. Many Jewish people refused to obey. They were willing to suffer for their beliefs. This was a dark time of persecution. A brave priest named Mattathias and his sons rose up. They refused to follow the king's orders. They started a rebellion against Antiochus. They were known as the Maccabees. Judah Maccabee, one of Mattathias' sons, was a great leader. He led a small army of Jewish fighters. They fought against the much larger Greek forces. It was a difficult and dangerous struggle. They fought for their freedom to practice Judaism. Their courage inspired many people. Against all odds, the Maccabees won. They drove the Greek forces out of Jerusalem. They cleaned and rededicated the temple. This victory is celebrated every year by Jewish people. The festival is called Hanukkah. It is a festival of lights and freedom. It remembers the miracle of the oil in the temple. The Maccabean Revolt was a crucial event. It showed the importance of religious freedom. It ensured the survival of Jewish traditions. Section 7. Under Roman rule, a new power. After the Maccabean success, Judah had a period of independence. This was under the Hasmonean kings, descendants of the Maccabees. However, this independence did not last forever. A new power was rising in the west. This was the Roman Empire. Rome was strong and expanding its control. Internal conflicts in Judah gave Rome an opportunity. In 63 BCE, Roman general Pompey entered Jerusalem. Judah came under Roman influence, then direct rule. This marked another big change for the Jewish people. The Romans appointed local rulers. One of the most famous was King Herod. Herod was not loved by many Jewish people, but he was a great builder. He rebuilt the Second Temple in Jerusalem. He made it much larger and more magnificent. It became one of the wonders of the ancient world. Herod also built palaces, fortresses, and cities. However, Roman rule was often harsh. Taxes were high and freedoms were limited. Many Jewish people resented Roman rule. They longed for freedom and independence again. There were different groups with different ideas. Some wanted to cooperate with Rome, others wanted to fight for freedom. Tensions grew over time. There were several uprisings against Roman authority. These were often met with brutal force. The desire for self-rule was very strong. The situation became increasingly unstable. In the year 66 CE, a major revolt began. This is known as the First Jewish-Roman War. Jewish fighters bravely fought the Roman legions. The war lasted for several years. It was a terrible and destructive conflict. In the year 70 CE, the Romans conquered Jerusalem. They destroyed the Second Temple. This was a catastrophic event for the Jewish people. It was like the Babylonian destruction, but worse for many. The center of their religious and national life was gone again. Section 8. The Long Diaspora, Keeping the Flame Alive. After the destruction of the Second Temple, life changed greatly. Many Jewish people were killed or enslaved. Others were forced to leave the land of Judah. This scattering of Jewish people across the world is called the diaspora. While a Jewish presence remained in the land, many lived elsewhere. They settled in various parts of the Roman Empire and beyond. They formed communities in places like Egypt, Babylon, and Europe. Living without their temple was a huge challenge. They had to find new ways to practice their faith. The dream of returning to their land remained. A second major revolt against Rome occurred later. This was the Bar Kokhba revolt, from 132 to 135 CE. It was led by Simon Bar Kokhba. For a short time, they achieved some independence, but the Romans crushed this rebellion fiercely. The consequences were devastating. Jerusalem was rebuilt as a Roman city. Jewish people were forbidden to enter it. The land was renamed Syria Palestina by the Romans. This marked a very dark period. Despite these tragedies, Jewish life continued. Jewish scholars and rabbis played a crucial role. They focused on studying the Torah and Jewish law. They wrote down oral traditions in works like the Mishnah and Talmud. These texts became central to Judaism. Synagogues became even more important. They were centers for prayer, study, and community life. Jewish people kept their customs and traditions alive. They passed their heritage to their children. Faith and community helped them survive. For nearly 2,000 years, Jewish people lived in the diaspora. They faced persecution and hardship in many lands. But they also experienced periods of peace and creativity. They made significant contributions to the societies where they lived. They excelled in fields like medicine, trade, and philosophy. Through all these centuries, they never forgot Zion. Zion is another name for Jerusalem and the land of Israel. The hope of returning to their ancestral homeland was always present. It was part of their prayers and their dreams. This longing shaped their identity deeply. Section 9. Israel Reborn, a Homeland Restored. In the late 19th century, a new movement began. It was called Zionism. Zionists believed that Jewish people needed their own homeland. They wanted to return to the land of their ancestors. Theodor Herzl was an important early Zionist leader. He worked to gain international support for a Jewish state. Small groups of Jewish pioneers began moving to Palestine. Palestine was the name of the land at that time. They bought land and started to build new communities. They wanted to revive the Hebrew language and culture. The 20th century brought terrible suffering. The Holocaust during World War II was a horrific event. Millions of Jewish people were murdered by the Nazis in Europe. This tragedy strengthened the determination to create a Jewish state. A safe haven was needed for Jewish people. After the war, the international community debated the future of Palestine. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a plan. The plan was to divide Palestine into two states, one Arab state and one Jewish state. The Jewish leadership accepted this plan. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was declared. David Ben-Gurion became its first prime minister. This was a momentous occasion for Jewish people everywhere. After 2,000 years of exile, they had a homeland again. However, the new state immediately faced war. Neighboring Arab countries did not accept its existence. The War of Independence was hard-fought. Israel survived and began to build a modern nation. Many challenges lay ahead for the new country, but the dream of generations had come true. Today, Israel is a vibrant and diverse country. It is a center of Jewish life, culture, and innovation. People from all over the world have made Israel their home. Hebrew, once mainly a language of prayer, is spoken daily. Jerusalem is its capital, a city of deep historical significance. The land of Judah, now Israel, continues to be significant. It holds deep historical and cultural meaning. It contributes to science, technology, and the arts. The journey of the Jewish people from ancient Judah to modern Israel is long. It is a story of resilience, faith, and the enduring hope for home.